Hey there, it is Janine with your Diamond Mentor moment on this beautiful Wednesday. Always trying to look for the good in the days, even though there's things going on around the world, and definitely keeping everyone in my prayers and my thoughts, and still focusing on what can I do where I am. And one thing that I can do is share some of my knowledge, my wisdom, in order to help people live their best lives where they are and they can engage in intercultural creativity. Today, of course, we're talking about one of my favorite organs, the brain. And we are looking at three areas of the brain, one in particular. We know about our cognitive brain, right? The thinking brain, logic, reasoning. You're able to linear think through problems. You're able to sense the data around you, take in information, and think clearly about whatever it is that you're thinking about. That is your cognitive brain. And then you have your affective brain. Affect. It is a term usually meant for like emotions, feelings, which those are two different things, but your emotional brain and your emotional regulation, emotional granularity, self-awareness about your emotions, things along those lines. So you have your cognitive brain, right? How you think, you reason, you problem solve, and then you have your affective brain. Did you know that there is another part of your brain that you should definitely be aware of? It is called your conative brain, right? Conation. And it is the part of your brain that helps you get things done. Did you know that? That this is a huge part that influences your creativity, influences your life experiences, influences how you look at getting things done and taking risk and even attempting things really. And so I just wanted to talk about that. Number one, to bring it to awareness. A lot of people aren't even aware that this is a thing. You can go look it up and you can it's spelled Conative, your conative brain or conation. And let me give you the definition, right? Or and then I'll give you the denotation of the word, and then my own version of it. So conation could be thought of as the ability to focus and maintain persistent effort in order to achieve a maximal production in a particular performance of a task. So basically, it's your ability to have a goal and to actually reach that goal. I talk about continuums a lot, intercultural development continuum. Some people maybe over here, some people over here, a lot of people in the middle. Mindset, fixed mindset, growth mindset, and something we're introducing called prismatic mindset, right? It's a continuum. Sometimes your growth mindset in some areas, sometimes your fixed mindset in other areas. Like there's no either or, right? There's this gradual thing. And conation, I believe, is the same way. I use Eeyore as an example. Remember that character on, I believe that was what is that? Not Charlie Brown, Piglet, Eeyore, and that show, right? And he would just be getting up like, "Oh, bother," and like he never did anything in the whole series. I don't remember him really executing as opposed to Tigger, that was kinda all over the place, and some of the other characters. And when I think of someone who is like has a low conative brain, I think of Eeyore. Do you have that person in your life that they say they're gonna write a book, or they say they're going to do this particular courageous thing and it doesn't get done? Or they say they're gonna do like a normal thing and it never gets done. 10 years have passed and they're still talking about how they're going to do it and it never gets done. That is low conation. And then on the other side of the spectrum, do you have that person where, they're like, hey, why don't we do this? And then it gets done. That is a person with basically high conation. They know how to get things done. And so I'm going to quickly share a few tips on how to improve your conative part of the brain. You know how to improve your cognitive brain, right? You learn new things, you challenge old belief systems, you put yourself in new experiences and integrate those ideas. Hopefully you're learning how to improve your affective brain, emotional regulation, emotional awareness, self-awareness, metacognition, all those psychological things that you can practice to get your affective brain stronger. But how do you improve your conative part of the brain? So here's a few ideas. They gave me five, and then I have my own of what I do in my own life to make sure I have a strong conative brain. They say that number one, defining your purpose. Like we could do a whole workshop on that alone, and people have, right? You understanding why are you getting up every morning? What's driving you to get up? For some people it's their family. For some people it's to contribute. For some people it's a higher power or force or God that's causing them to commit and to keep going. But do you really take the time to stop and think about your purpose in life, your purpose at this task, your purpose at this job? What does that look like? And really reflecting on that. That is one thing that can help you improve your conative brain. And then they talk about aspirations, visions, dreams of your future. There's a lot of research out there coming out about how people should be engaging more with, of course, their present, but also being aware of your future self. Like, have you ever thought of your future self? In my first book, let me see if I can find the page. My first book, for those of you who don't know, is called From Debt to Destiny, Creating Financial Freedom from the Inside Out. It's a kind of pretty thick book. I will never write a book this long again. But I tell people to kind of talk to your older self because the decisions you're making today affect the older you. And so there's an app called Old Odify. And so I really took a picture of my current self. I was like 38 then. And then I odified it to be my 75-year-old self, or I said 79 here. And I just talked to her. I said, Janine, who's 79? Me doing this task or me getting this done or me making this the right decision is going to be a blessing to 79-year-old Janine. And so when I have an idea of my older self, when I'm actually even communicating or writing or just addressing my older self, that increases my conative brain and I'm able to get things done because I have, once again, going back to number one, a purpose, an external purpose and an internal purpose to get that done. So that is another way. Of course, you heard setting goals. There's SMART goals. There's different methods of goal setting. When you set goals, and there's research that shows this, I believe it was out of Harvard, like the group that actually set goals, following them 10, 20 years later, they were actually more successful in different areas because of that intention of saying, you know what, by this age, I want to do this, this, and this. And if it modified, that's okay, but at least you're headed somewhere. So do you set goals? Do you set financial goals? Do you set developmental goals? Do you set relational goals? Right? Like, how am I going to build this relationship? How am I going to strengthen my current relationships? How often do I want to go out with this person or have some quiet one-on-one time with this person? People who are intentional about these things, there you go. And that ends up strengthening your conative brain as well, right? And and of course, developing an action plan. I talk about action plans when we talk about emotional granularity and your ability to identify your internal emotions and say, okay, well, if anger comes up, what do I do? Like, how do I de-escalate? If this emotion or feeling comes up, what do I do? Well, the same is with your conative brain. What are you going to do when it's time to start a new project? Like, how do you lay out that action plan? The brain loves specificity. So when you are specific, the brain's like, okay, I'm hitting these milestones. Now that is from my research. Here's what I've been doing in my own life to increase my conative brain. Writing a book is not easy your first time, because it's just you're breaking through. You don't really know what to expect. A lot of people don't even know how to get started. I have that conversation a lot. And so now that I'm on my fourth or fifth book, I kind of have it down. But starting out, here's what I did. I printed out the cover, right? My design team, which is currently in-house, my design team designed the cover before the book was even written. And then I glued it to another book in my library because when I hold it, it gets me back to the computer to type it out. And so whatever your goal is, how can you move it from the abstract to the concrete? right? Me writing the book right now is still in my head until I get the words on a paper, but then it's still in the computer. But when I printed out the cover and taped it to an actual book, it's like, okay, it moved me along faster. So that is one thing to think about. Another thing that I do is your imagination. Your brain, your beautiful brain, the title of our book, your brain doesn't know the difference between what you are imagining and what's actually you are experiencing. So that's why your imagination is so powerful. You've seen me do posts about it, and I talk about it in my keynotes and in my trainings. Really running through your imagination. What does it look like to reach your goal? What do you feel? Who's around you? What do you sense? What do you smell? Just really making that moment alive. If your goal is to do a TED Talk, have you imagined that? I've known people who went and bought red carpets and cut a circle out and put it in their living room, right? They haven't even been accepted at all, but they did that. And then a friend of mine actually got her TED Talk and did it 2 weeks ago. But it started in her imagination, and then she made it from the abstract to the concrete, all right? So how don't call yourself "Oh, that's crazy, da, da, da." Just do it. The brain needs to hold on to something that is concrete to really keep you moving in the right direction. And my last tip to increase your conative brain is to speak in third person. Sometimes you are your own cheerleader and you have to keep pushing yourself, especially if you don't have a strong social network. So that's another tip: get a strong social network that can be your cheerleader and your encourager. But in case you don't have one, or you want to include that, include you, right? And you should be the one of the first ones on the front lines encouraging you. And I encourage myself in third person. I learned this when I was trying to work out, getting up at 4:35, trying to get to the gym in the morning. Instead of saying, I have to get up. I have to go. Janine, get out of bed. Janine, I call my name. Janine, it's time to go. And once I'm talking to myself in third person, it's not crazy. It's neurologically shown that it's almost like a coach is outside of you talking to you. So that's some tricks to increase your conative brain to help you get things done, turning things from the abstract to the concrete, speaking to yourself, encouraging yourself kindly, but in third person, using your imagination, aspirations, your visions and goals, and of course, having a purpose. It's so easier to get things done, even the hard things done, when you have a reason why and the people who are going to be affected by it. Me doing this work today has a ripple effect. I just sat in a meeting at a school district north of Phoenix, and she was like, Janine, the teachers love your book. They're creating like a program from the book, and one student took an example from the book and is doing a survey with like a Harvard class, and I'm over here eating potato chips, and my book is doing amazing work out in the nation. So that's my purpose, to keep going even when it gets hard. What is your purpose? All right. Now you know how to strengthen your conative brain in addition to your affective and your cognitive brain. That is your Diamond Mentor moment for today. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.